Welcome to another episode of Talking with Kevin and Son, featuring people you should know. Hi, I'm Kevin McLemore. I am your show host. I'm a four-time published author, mentor, coach, and like I said, some people call me a mindset messenger, but I can't hold it. I can't hold a candle to my guest today. This episode is brought to you by RMK Productions and the 10 United Podcast Network. Our mission is to give power to your voice, inspire, share stories and experiences and perspective using the framework of teaching, learning, and modeling. Our purpose is very simple, folks. It's hope, helping other people every day. Whatever your objective, successful people, they create a framework around their day-to-day lives. Not only do they enhance their lives, but many times, like my guest today, they pour into others. Our guest will bring to you today's guest, not our guest, today's guest will bring to us more than 40 years of experience in the space of entrepreneurial leadership, professional facilitation, and curriculum development. Our guest is the founder of AWE, an Awakened Event, a multidisciplinary approach to combine ancient wisdom, modern science, a proven business practice that will change lives. Our guest is also the founder of Executive Education and Institute, EEI, I believe that's what it is, where she grew a company with 90 people and over $10 million in revenue, providing services ranging from basic technical instructions to leadership development at its highest level. Today, we'll be talking about the ALL program, an awakening event. You will learn about the missing pieces of your life, and our guest will explain that: the physical, the emotional, aspirational, the cerebral, and the ethereal. Today's guest is a gift to this world. She is the light in a dark room. She's a mindset messenger. She is also a wordsmith, and we'll tell you what that is. I want to introduce you to my friend, and I've known her for a bit, and I still can't pronounce her last name, but I am going to try. Miss Flory, Flor, God, I'm messing it up. Flo, Hiatrides? How do you pronounce your last name again?
So first name is Flory, but you can call me Flo.
Flory?
And last name is Hiatrides.
Hiatrides. All right, Hiatrides, and we are going to do this thing. She is also a devoted wife. She is a mother of five. She's a lot of fun when she's off air and she's not teaching what she's doing. She has a beautiful place on the East Coast where it's called a retreat where she brings people. This woman is extremely special. But before we get into the all program, Flo, I'd like to ask you this. If your oldest child was to put a message in a bottle and it will land on a beach describing all the wonderful things about you, and she can only use one word, what would that one word be that your daughter would put in that bottle?
They actually interviewed my kids about what I do and listening to those phrases and words. But the one word I think all of my kids would say is inspirational.
All right. All right. It's funny, when I ask that question about our children, most of the time people don't ever hear what their children think about it. I remember with my youngest son on an interview, he brought tears to my eyes because my son said I was his hero. I've never heard him say that before. So, and that's the reason why I wanted to ask you that question. But let's peel back the layers of your life. How did this all get started?
Yeah, so I was born in the Bronx to a middle class family. Dad was a truck driver, mom was a bookkeeper. I'm first generation college. And you said in the beginning, this is about teaching, learning, and modeling. And honestly, I think modeling and mentors are one of the keys to success. I coach right now a lot of young people. I teach college and I coach college kids, but I'm always saying to people, mentors, someone that's in the shoes you want to be in, and then they can pave the way. So the bottom line is I had some great mentors. In addition to my parents, I mean, my parents weren't business people. So as much as they were loving, kind parents, they didn't know the path I was going to be on as an entrepreneur. And so I recommend to so many young people finding mentors. So my freshman year of college, I went to Iona College in New Rochelle. And my freshman year of college, I met someone who would change my life. His name is Tony Hilaris, another Greek. I married a Greek. My name is Greek. But Tony took a shine to me. He was like, wow, you've got something. And that's how it all started. 805, freshman year, computer science 101. And Tony asked me if I wanted to run computer camps for kids that summer. Now, this is going back 1979. So technology was new and it was really groundbreaking. So I started computer camps for kids. And that's what sent me on a trajectory to literally never work for anyone else, impact many thousands of people, in able to afford a beautiful home that I can continue to impact people. So it started with computer camps. You want to hear how that all unfolded?
Yes, I would love to hear how that unfolded.
Well, it's a great story. It's a great story because it's truly one of designing your life. I tell everyone now that I teach, you want to live a life by design, not default. You know, most people spend time designing their room and their house and their car, but they don't design their life. They just go with the next step. So, what I always say about entrepreneurs is we look like we're reacting, but we're really just proacting very fast so that people don't even notice the difference. So, here's what happened. I was running computer camps for kids. This was 1979. We were on the Commodore PET, big machines. You know, when they had the Univac one that took up the whole, what's on our phone now took up a whole room, right? Dating myself. But literally, we were on punch cards and we had, complete computer rooms. Anyway, what I noticed is as parents were dropping their kids off at computer camp, they were hanging around a little while. They wanted to hear some of the language. So the entrepreneur in me was alive and well at 18. And I said, there's a business need here. So I created a parents camp that met in a separate classroom, but on Fridays, they got to be with their kids. And I taught the parents just a little bit more than I taught the kids. And that's when we were on 5.25-inch floppies, and then we went into 3.5-inch floppies. But the parents were always a little bit ahead. So it was learning for the parents and bonding with their kid on Friday. Well, what happened is technology started to take off. Apple started to come on the scene, GUI interface. I had more parents than I did kids. In other words, adults were coming and they didn't even have kids in the camp. Entrepreneur in me noticed another business need. I was now maybe 20. And I went to the president, the president of Iona College and said, you have a need here for adult education in the community. And for Iona, I started a company or a group called the Institute for Computer Studies. And basically now, as I was in college and graduating and going for my master's, I was running these programs for the college. So it was revenue generating, but it was also community building for the college for future students. So then when I graduated Iona and did my master's, now I'm about 24 with my master's degree. Iona paid for me to do my doctorates, both of my doctorates. And they said, Flory, you've created a big company here, but we're a college. We don't even have parking for the people coming to your seminars. So I moved off campus and I took the Iona name with me. And that was the beginning of my entrepreneurial success.
Wow. 18 years of age. So I'm if I were to ask you what your first job was, you've never worked for anybody else but you.
Well, when I was 18, Tony was my boss at the college, but very quickly became my business partner by the time I graduated college. So I would say I had a boss for college, during college. But beyond that, no. But, you know, Kevin, when you own your own business, you work for everybody else. Everybody else
Right.
is the boss, you know, your vendors, your clients, your partners. So you really do work for people. But yes, in the traditional sense, I've really, as an adult, never had a boss.
All right. You know, when I talk to young people, especially young people wanting to start their business, I always tell them about the struggles, and I always say find beauty in the struggles. Um, w- when you were starting out as an entrepreneur, the road wasn't as smooth as you explained it right now, was it? Tell us about some of the things that made it hard.
Yeah, you know, the only reason it wasn't as difficult as entrepreneuring as an adult is adults have more responsibilities, right? So if you have a mortgage or you have children, you can't just quit your day job and start a business. So anyone that I coach as an adult, I'm like, make sure you have stable income, create your side hustle, and let that grow. However, I was 18 living home with my parents. So I had a lot more flexibility to be creative and try almost anything. So did I have entrepreneurial struggles as in changing the content or the audience or the timing? Yes. But I didn't have the financial struggles most people have because I was 18. It was really quite a blessing and Iona was so gracious in that they funded all of my education. So it was really a gift. And I knew it was a gift back then, which is why I continue to serve, because I really do know that blessings are a two-way street. And our purpose here is to give back.
Well, I am looking for the opportunity to come to your retreat in August of 2025 to be part of to see your magic in person. It's not a sleight of hand; it is the real deal. Before we get into the program and explain the physical, the emotional, aspirational, and cerebral and ethereal portion of it, you made it real easy for me to remember because your background has it up there. So thank you. How do people get in touch with you? Because you are an amazing person, lots of energy. And this is 24/7. I've been with you outside of here, and this is you 24/7. If I can add 2 more hours, I'll give them to you.
Yeah, I used to teach a lot of time management. Now I call it energy management, because it really is about being tuned in, turned on, tapped in. And when you're in that zone, time flies. When you're out of that zone, time drags. So you see the picture behind me, actually that way, the vortex, right? When you're in which Esther Hicks calls the vortex, Joe Dispenza, Marianne Williamson, they all agree. This is something everyone in the mindful space agrees. When you are feeling joy and happiness and excitement, you have as much energy as you need, because you're doing universe God's work. When you are out of the vortex, in B, hanging on, or in C, out in the lake somewhere, and you're feeling depression and anger and resentment and those negative emotions, nothing creative and good and manifestation is going to happen. So entrepreneurs, before they try to figure anything out, I work with them on making sure they're in their zone, because really being in the zone is key. So how do you find me? Well, I'm in the vortex on the lake in Connecticut, and my phone number, because I would love you to just text me. I communicate with everyone. It's ease for me. It's not easy all the time, but it's not difficult. It's ease and flow, which is kind of my name. So my number is 914, an old Westchester number, 914-844-6090, or they can email me at Flory, Flory, at awakenedevents.com, but it's divided wakened-events.com. And the reason I purposely didn't make the word awakened one word, it is 2 words, because AWE is awe, and that's what the abbreviation is. And you can see the logo behind me. It's an alarm clock. Who doesn't want to live in awe and unleash the power that's in them?
Well, you know something, I have been around Les Brown, Tony Robbins, a bunch of other motivational or inspirational speakers. Um, you're top 10. You're top 10. Because I know you personally, you're a top 10. Let's go over and let's introduce our audience and the rest of the world to your program. Let's introduce them to awe. What's the first step?
So what's really amazing about this is really 45 years. I started when I was 18. I'll be 64 next month. This is really 45 years of experience, education, retreats, seminar, hardships, struggles, everything I call the slingshot moments, when you think you're being set back, but you're being set up. It's all of that culminated into this amazing curriculum. It is as much about business as it is mindfulness. It's as much about health and wellness as it is about business, as it is mindfulness. Because here's the paradigm. The construct, the algorithm, whatever word, is that our life is all of these 5 pieces. There's nothing in your life, like Kevin, you could bring up any topic and we would put it into one of the pieces. However, I love that it's a puzzle, because our life is integrated. So when you have pain or joy in one of these pieces, you have pain or joy inevitably in all the pieces. So P is physical health and wellness. That's your body. That's what you eat. That's do you exercise and move. Emotional is relationships. What are your relationships like? What's the health and wealth of your communication and relationships? Aspirational is your goals. Do you have goals? Are they clearly written down? Do you communicate them? Cerebral is work or school. And ethereal is your spirit. And the colors are very meaningful. Physical is purple because it's the most transmutational color. Emotional is red because of the heart. Aspirational, reach for the sky, your goals. Cerebral is gray matter, and ethereal, like I'm in, is wake up. So the colors are meaningful. All my material follows the colors. A quick example. If you get diagnosed with any disease, let's say cancer, it starts out as a physical issue, but it very quickly gets into the other pieces of your life. It affects your relationships and your goals and your spirit. And the flip side is, if you have a great day at work, cerebral, that then affects your relationships and your physicality. So if you want to be holistically happy, you need to look at all the pieces. In addition to being an entrepreneur, a serial entrepreneur, and a mindful coach, I'm a nutritionist and holistic health counselor. I had my kids in my 40s, so I needed to get as healthy as I could, and I became certified as a nutritionist and health coach. So I bring a lot of tools to this party because you never know where the pain point is for a corporation or an individual.
All right. How does that, as an individual, how does all this go translate into the family dynamics? There's always that one that's like a flow. And if you got a family of five, there's three dragging the other two down. How do you turn that and bring everyone into the vortex of A?
So that's a great question. A family is a corporation. So you could be talking about a family of five or a company of five, right? It really doesn't matter. The only difference, and this is not even as different, is the parents, they're like the managers, right? They're in the power position. So there's a little bit of an extra dynamic with the parents. But if you think about it, if I'm going to ask you, Kevin, fill in the blank to this very common saying: misery loves
Company.
company. So what that means in my picture is I'm out of the vortex. I don't know how to get back in. So the only way for me to feel better is to drag you out. Right? So if
Mhm.
someone is living in a household where they wake up every morning, and by the way, most of us wake up in the vortex when we come out of our theta sleep. We wake up tuned in, turned on, tapped in. And then we pick up our phone, or we go to a job we don't like, or in a relationship we don't like. But we start in spirit because we're coming from sleep, which is spirit. So when we wake up in the morning, we are in the zone. Now, some people get knocked out faster than others. But the question was, what if four people are in C and I'm the only one in A? Well, that's going to be hard. You can do it. And we teach you techniques, and I can give you one or two right now. But why do you want to be in a world where you're always working to drag people into the happy place? Which means you want to mitigate the people that you hang out with if they're in C. You want to surround yourself with happy people, with positive thoughts. You know, I always ask people, I have a lot of books over here, and I ask people, what's the best antioxidant? And they'll tell me blueberries, strawberries. And I say to people, the best antioxidant is happy thoughts and happy people. When you see someone who doesn't look their age and is not oxidizing, it's not only because they're eating broccoli, because that is not going to do it. It really has to be the life that you live. So family dynamics, if I were to go through each of the pieces, I could give you a tip in each, but the two I'm going to use are cerebral and ethereal. Cerebral is emotional intelligence. You need to understand your innate, by nature, personality and that of those that you live with or work with. Emotionally intelligent people understand who they are, but they also then understand who others are so that they can adjust authentically to get to the outcome they desire, therefore keeping everyone in the vortex. Without understanding your type and other people's type, that becomes very difficult. And there is proven research that emotionally intelligent people are happy in all the pieces of their life. So emotional intelligence is key for a company, a family, any relationship, because the connection between your emotional intelligence and your vortex is undeniable.
Wow. That was very, very deep, very inspirational. Now, quick question. When most of the people that come to your workshop, all right, are they in the A category, B category? Because I safely assume, most people that go to motivational or inspirational seminars or whatever are either A or B. The C's don't buy tickets for someone to be motivated or whatever. I always, when people ask me, what is motivation? And I say motivation as soon as I open my eyes. I said inspiration is when my feet hit the floor. All right. And what comes after the next? I said, the world's not ready for this. All right. Because I have greatness within me. So, how do you motivate people or add this program into people that's already 90% in awe?
So first of all, I want to highlight how clear our language is. And that's what I am all about. By the way, the word ethereal means clarity. And if you are clear with the universe, you will get exactly what you want. Most people are not clear. What I'm getting at is you and I just now talking ABC. You see how clear that is?
Right.
If we didn't have that language, we'd have to say what? Grumpy, nasty people and happy, joyous people. It would take a
Right.
lot of language. So right off the bat, we are being very clear about this. So
Right.
to answer the question was, do people who come to the seminars, are they in A or B? And if they're in C, how do they get there? Because most people in C do not seek it out. So here's what happens. A lot of A and B people come, but guess what? They drag the C people with them. So we have a lot of parents coming with children. We have a lot of husbands coming with wives, a lot of wives dragging their husbands, vice versa. And what happens is, I am telling you, less than 45 minutes into the seminar, everybody's in A because this house becomes a vortex. The energy is so high. I tell people when you show up here at 9 a.m. on a Saturday, you already are lunging forward, or at least the person you're with is lunging forward to be better, to be happier. And anything that you want to manifest, if you set the intention in the morning, sometimes by the end of the day, you've created it because the whirlwind of vortex and energy is so high and everyone's intention is so pure that the day becomes so magical. We also do weekends, and it's really unbelievable what happens. And one of my other props is the boomerang, right? When you throw a boomerang, if you throw it well, it comes back to you. Well, that's the same thing with your energy. So Kevin, you said when you wake up, you're like that energetic boomerang that is going to attract people like me into your world because
Right.
we are putting out what we're bringing in. So for people who are in C, they need that first step of awareness. And once they get a taste of awe, literally the company and the feeling, they get it. And they're like, "Who? I want to live like this. This is a good way to live." Now, the mindset is only a part of it because if you don't have the skills, then you're going to go back to the same situation. So I really partner the mindful with the business skills to make sure that people have tools. I am all about tools.
All right. What's the next tool? It's funny that I had in my notes because you used the boomerang on our show, Motivational Sundays with Kevin, and a lot of these things have come out. And I also know that going through the seminars, that for the first 30 days, you'll get about 20% of people that are practice everything that they've learned from this. So when you talk about a missing piece to the puzzle, I always say, you get 1,000 pieces of a puzzle, and then all of a sudden you search for that one missing piece. For some reason, that one missing piece is always someplace either under the couch, the dog ate it, or you just can't find it. I always tell people that one missing piece is always you. You are the first and final answer. But after that first 30 days, all right, the 70% of people go back to doing what they normally do. That 10% of the people that walked in that were drug in believes that they can't do it. How do you get a non-believer to come from C to A in just a weekend workshop? Is there
Well,
a
some
follow-up?
people, well, we have a series of 15 one days. So inevitably, we're building an academy where, like in a college, you would go and take a series of courses. So now people will sign up separately. The first course is the missing piece, but then there's the centerpiece, the masterpiece, and then there's courses in all of the pieces. So inevitably, you can build your own college curriculum, which we are doing now. So to answer that question, people will come back on their own. We're also building a platform so people can stay connected and watch my videos. Of course, I'm on social media all the time with little inspirational clips. But many people will wait a few months and then come back to a follow-up or a second seminar. I also do virtual follow-ups and webinars. So there's lots of ways to stay connected. Because as you're mentioning, you leave a seminar very inspired and then life takes you over again and it gets a little bit more difficult. But as long as you surround yourself with the content and the people, and the community here is unbelievable. The platform is also going to enable people to use other attendees services. So if you need a Reiki healer, or if you need a plumber, or if you need a realtor, why not use someone in the awe community? And we share and support each other. So short answer, come back to seminars, develop an entire program, go online in a subscription format, and stay connected to the community.
All right. One more question. Um, this curriculum is set up for college and adults, young people. All right. I would say 90% of high school graduates throughout the country will graduate with the same education they came in at their freshman year. 10% of them are going off to college having no idea what they want to do and whatever. How do we increase that number? How is a program like yours the missing piece? Instead of reaching them at college level that we're only getting 10%, how do we address and how does your institution go into undergraduate programs in the high schools and so forth? Because me being a former athlete, I always know if you don't reach them by their freshman year, it's hard to teach them by their senior. All right.
I don't know if I had mentioned you before, but we just took 100 hours of my life and we adapted this curriculum to teenagers. We've already done 3 pilots. I had 40 of those kids here at my home last Thursday. And that program is called the Mindset Makeover. Become a Pro, PRO. So instead of the missing piece, it's very similar: personality, reactions, and outlook. So yes, we're already teaching teenagers. I have a meeting coming up with New York City schools for 1,500 schools in New York City. So yes, total validation. In 2.5 years, we've done 73 seminars here at my home and a few virtual. 2,500 people. We have complete validation that these lifelong life skills are really where people need to be. Let me give you a very quick business example about this emotional intelligence and how you can see immediate results. So under Cerebral is emotional intelligence. And let me just use an example of an introvert versus extrovert. Most people understand what that is. Extroverted people get their energy externally, introverted internally. Doesn't mean introverts don't like parties. It means they recharge by themselves. What if you are a realtor and you are an extroverted realtor and you have no emotional intelligence, so you're unaware, and you get 2 introverted clients in your car in the morning and you're going to show them houses all day? If you don't have any EQ, emotional intelligence, and you act extroverted the entire day, you are not going to sell a house to those people. They might not even make it to lunch with you because you are taking them out of their vortex because you don't have the EQ to adjust your behavior. So we help people understand in very common, non-offensive language who they are, so they can authentically adjust who they are to get to the outcome that they want and keep them and everyone else in this vortex. That can happen very fast. It doesn't have to take years of education and training. A bit of awareness goes a long way. And you know as well as anyone, awareness is transmutational, not just transformational, transmutational, like the alchemist, like alchemy, like someone's perspective with a few tools can change and they can get immediate impact.
Since you brought up this program with the teens in New York, is this open to just the immediate school system, or is this going to be open to people that can come to New York? Because I would love to be a fly on the wall at that event.
Yeah, so basically that question I'm interpreting as, is it going to be public seminars or private seminars? So even right now for adults, I will do public seminars like on June 22nd and August 3rd. All of you can come for a 1-day missing piece program, any age, 18 and above, even though we have younger people coming with families. Then I have weekend retreats for female entrepreneurs. Then I will have an entire company coming on the 28th, a fitness company. All 10 of their trainers are coming. That's a private seminar. So to answer the question, right now, the team programs are being funded, so they are private seminars by school. But we will also do public seminars where anyone can bring their kids to these seminars. So we will be doing public and private, like I've been doing with the adults.
All right, I'm going to ask you a stupid question, and I know you are a wordsmith, and I know I'm walking into the lion's den. Do you need funding for your programs? I already know the answer.
That's one of those wonderful rhetorical questions. And I love rhetorical questions because, we say they're stating the obvious, but with a question mark at the end. So, yes, the Teen programs especially will be funded by government programs, or they'll be funded by the schools themselves, because obviously the individual families don't always have the funding to get their kids off to the right start. But even in my adult programs now, my one-day programs, many starting entrepreneurs cannot afford them. So I help, my husband and I support. We also get business professionals to fund. So absolutely. If you want to do some good and you want to propel people, you know what we have? We have a lot of donors joining the seminar with the people that they sponsor, so that they can see firsthand the impact this curriculum is having. It's very profound. So yes, if someone needs a haven that will impact for their funds, yes. And everything that we do is serving. You know, you talk about the wordsmithing. My favorite word is to dissect is universe. The first three letters, again, Kevin, what are the first three letters of the word universe?
UNI.
You and I. And the last five letters, VERSE, rearranged, is serve. So
Right.
that's really what I believe. You and I serve, all of us. So yes, funding, welcome.
All right. So to my listeners, the reason why I set this question up that way is because I have a very unique podcast talking with Kevin and Son. To this date, we've had 7 people listen to our podcast and have had helped a guest on our show. And I'll give you some idea of the power of our show. I've had a teacher from the Bronx that was awarded from a lady in France $50,000 in order to start her program to teach kids how to grow plants in the Bronx institution. I will tell you, as of recently, within the 2 weeks, we've been raising money for cerebral palsy. I mean, not cerebral palsy, sickle cell with Junior, Kiara Jr. He is a co-host of Steve Harvey. 3 days after we had did his interview, over $500,000 were donated to the Curious Foundation. As of last weekend, a young man out of Houston, Texas, because we're looking to build a facility, a hospital where people with sickle cell could be treated, has donated 35 acres of prime real estate for him to build this his facility on. And the reason why I put it out there, because the people that are in my A circle, in my Vertex, they are not the type of people, and as well as my guests and the people that follow the show, they don't drive by an accident. They stop to help. So, Flo, I'm going to ask you to give your information one more time. If people want to invest in your program, participate in your program, come and see, and then invest in your program, how do they get in touch with you?
And I have to just, before I give the info, what you just described is everyone in your community, they zap people, right? There's only two kinds of people in this world, if you break it down: those that zap with a Z and those that sap with an S. And those that are in the vortex, I keep going the wrong way, those in the vortex are zapping people. We're giving energy, we are inspiring, we are giving back, we are serving. So I am grateful for the exposure to this community that, as you described, it goes through life to zap people and causes. My number is 914-844-6090. And my email is Flory at a-wakened-events.com. My social is the same thing, a-wakened-events.com. And let me tell you something. We sit here in beautiful Brookfield, Connecticut on a lake. So when the in-person, we take people out on the boat. These young people got to experience this property. Some of them had never been to a lake or a pool and been on a boat. So it was entertainment, education, networking, and a retreat all rolled into one. And it is in all the disciplines. So it's a holistic approach to happiness, and it's a very holistic experience to happiness.
Now, Flo, I'm going to extend an invitation to you to come on and be one of the educators on the cruise for the cure of for sickle cell, December 10th, 2026. I'm hoping that you'll accept the invitation to come on and be one of the facilitators to teach your OB program while on the cruise. You'll be listening to live music. You'll be listening to some of the top comedians that will be performing live on there, and it's going to be a boatload of fun. So I'm hoping that you will accept after this to come on and free your schedule up. And I hope my listeners will reach out to Flo and be part of her program. If you have children that are in need of going from C to A. If you have a loved one that's an adult that is sitting in B between A and C that needs to get in that vortex and join you, join Flow and other people like Flow, feel free to reach out to Flow. Flow, you put up two books earlier in the show. I'm an author and I love words. I love authors, but we did not recognize either one of the authors and how do we get the book. So if you can go back to emotional intelligence, give us the name of that book and the author.
I have a stack of books over here, so I can actually send you also a list of everything that we talk about and promote. And by the way, I have to identify that you said we're going to have a boatload of fun on the cruise, just so you
Uh-huh.
know. Right, that was great. And by the way, in case I was going to also tell you, I'm a stand-up comedian. In case you need, backup for that on the cruise.
Hey
So
Flo, I would love to showcase your talent on there because part of one of the things we're going to do because I spoken to Junior. There are a lot of people, and like I go to concerts, I can sing, I write music, I produce music, and whatever. And I've always said I would love to have an opportunity to come up on stage with a name artist, with a room full of people, and be able to show my talent. And one of the things that we're going to do, we're going to allow people on that cruise to showcase that talent. So if you want to be one of those people, the stage will be yours. We're fine with that.
I've always wanted to do stand up and improv because it's really a subset of what I do as a master facilitator. And every conversation or every question a student asks is really impromptu, right? You just have a lot of information so that you can package it and come up with an answer. But I did take a comedy course 2 summers ago and performed in front of hundreds of people for 20 minutes with my children in the audience. And my whole routine was about words and how funny words are and what people name themselves and what they name their kids and what they name their websites. So I'm more than happy to do that. Comedy is another tool in my tool belt because when you want to entertain people so you can educate them, entertainment and laughter opens them up so that you can pour into them. And I've realized that. So I needed to master that skill as well. So yeah, very exciting to be able to put all of these different together. As a matter of fact, one of my other favorite authors is Joe Dispenza. And I'm not saying we're supernatural. Everyone is saying we're supernatural. We are so capable of creating the life we desire and to live in awe. Deepak Chopra, he says we are beyond human, meta-human. Tony Robbins, a little more mainstream, but Tony talks about unleash the power within. And I've seen Tony twice in my 20s and in my 50s. So everyone is saying the same thing. We have the power to waken ourselves up to the power and the awe that we have. We just haven't been exposed to it. So getting from C to A doesn't have to be a giant step. It has to be a step of awareness. And one of my other favorite books, I use the kids version. Have you ever seen this? Who Moved My Cheese?
No.
It's a great book, but the concept is as an entrepreneur, you have to follow the cheese. It might not always be where you think it is, but you need to follow the patterns and the trends and where people need you the most.
Well, I am so glad because I needed you today, and this is where you needed to be. I know a lot of people listening to this podcast and people that will share this podcast and people that will like this podcast needs to be right here in the flow with Flory. All right. Um, I so much enjoyed you, and I'm hoping that people they get the physical. I hope you touch them emotional. I hope the aspirational. I hope that the cerebral, okay, has clicked in and the ethereal that most people neglect. I I'm blown away with what we have today. Is there anything that we have left out that you would like to share with our audience today?
Well, it's difficult to teach in such a short period of time, but my nature is to always add value. So I want to give everyone at least one tip, something they can do immediately to make a change. And that is to focus and pay attention to their thoughts. Your thoughts create your world. Wayne Dyer said, change your thoughts, change your destiny. You want to be super powerful? It's your thoughts. Most people have 60,000 thoughts a day, and 55,192 are negative for the average person. So you need to learn how to pivot and reframe your thoughts. One of my favorite props is the rose-colored glasses. It doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means seeing what you can learn. Why me? Then what can I learn? I wonder how this can affect me. Wounds to wisdom, trauma to triumph, finding the good, because a negative thought is only and always hurting you. So I want to leave everyone with this one phrase or sentence, if you will, from Esther Hicks, Abraham Hicks, if you've heard of them, one of the OGs of manifestation. If you don't have the right intention, you're going to have negative thoughts. So it starts with intention. Good intentions lead to positive thoughts. And here's the saying from Esther: your awareness of what hasn't happened in your life keeps what hasn't happened from happening. I'm going to say that one more time. Your awareness of what hasn't happened keeps what hasn't happened from happening. In other words, your focus on what you don't have keeps you having what you don't have. And your focus on what you want, your positive energy fueled with what you want, will bring it into your world, like the boomerang. So what is the tip? Reframe, pivot, look at all of your thoughts, and you get to decide what emotion you attach to a thought. There's a split microsecond between the thought and the emotion. It's called the gap. You get to decide what emotion you attach to a thought. It's your life, it's your choice, it's your thought, and that will dictate your happiness.
All right, all right. And since you brought up the gap, I'm gonna put out another book, The Gap in the Game by what is his name? Stan something, The Gap in the Game. You probably have that book already. You probably read it. Flo, quick question. I've asked this from about 99% of the people that have been on here. This question. If you were to have one ask, that means if you have one thing that could come true to someone listening to the show that could grant you your ask, and that's the reason why I preface it this way early on, is because the people that support my show, and I always ask, I'm probably the only podcaster that says, if you are not, I'm going to use Zap. If you are not a Zap type of person, I love that you watch the show. I love that you've taken the information from the show, and hopefully we touched you in some way, but do not follow or subscribe, because I'm reserving that for people that are Zap people that want to get involved and help. So if you're the type of person that drives by an accident, you're not the type of person I'm talking to. If you stop and help, no matter what your schedule is, you're a Zap person. You're a person that gets involved. If you have one ask, Flo, and that ask could become true, what would that be?
It would be enough funding to start this academy so that 18-year-olds have another choice, as opposed to college, military, trade school, or YouTube University. I'm creating a 1 to 2 year academy, Awakened Academy. And if that ask is too big for funding for such a program, then come to a seminar, sponsor 1 or 2 people, because together, right, we can create that ask. And by the way, all of the people together equal the awesome, S-U-M. My mathematics background always coming out. So awesome. But the ask is about this academy. I think it's going to be transformational to give young people lifelong life skills.
All right. And thank you for making your ask, ASK, big. I have a circle of friends that NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball, entertainment world that will hear this podcast. You know, we spend a lot of money on parties, entertainment, vacations, and so forth. And at the end of the day, nothing changes except for your bank account. Mike Tyson said it best. The only good thing about having money, if you do good things with it. Lowe's program is one of those good things that you can do, because there's a return. And the reason why I put so much emphasis on the young people, there are young people from all walks of life, no matter what skin color, no matter what their religion is, whatever. There's a group of young people right now that are panicking about AI and don't have any idea where to go. This retreat, Flow, is one of those answers to those questions that you're having right now when you're trying to make a decision. We have college educators out there that are just providing words on a paper in order to go from one transaction to another 4 years later and cross their fingers, the end result that something good happens to it. Not flow. Flow is the first and final answer. Flow, like I said earlier on, she is that light in the darkest of rooms. She is that person that's lifting her hand out when you need a hand. She won't carry you around or haul you around, but she will lift your hand. And for those of you that can give and that want to, at the end of the day, saying that my money did something good for someone, then invest in flow. Flow,
And I
I think,
can I
go
say one
ahead.
more thing, Kevin?
You could
So
say seven more things.
I understand market research, proof of concept. I've been an entrepreneur long enough. So we've got 74 one-day seminars under our belt in 2.5 years. That validation. We now have 6 3-day weekends under our belt. This summer in August, we're doing our first 1 week because I am building slowly the validation and verification of this academy. So this 1 week program, I am looking for funding, which is more immediate in August, assuming that people who come will fund it, but you never know. There might be people who want to come. And it's going to be a week-long program where there's a full day on each of the pieces. So basically you arrive on Sunday, and then Monday is PEACE, 5 days, guest speakers, content, interaction, and then you graduate on Saturday and your family and friends can come here at the lake. So I'm looking for 20 people for that 1 week program. It's going to be called Awakened Week. And that will
And
be,
what's the cost per person?
I don't have that finalized yet. It depends on, I was trying to see the right number. It'll probably be $3,000 to $5,000 a person, I am guessing, but I'm trying to see based on how many people.
I think that's fair. I spent $5,000 on becoming a certified life coach, and all I learned was the things I already knew I was going into it.
Yeah, and in
So
addition to the content, we're going to have outside guest speakers. There's access to the lake. It's going to be a vacation, right? So I have a few couples who want to come, and it's going to be as a vacation. We have, facilities here. I have a full apartment downstairs. So I would really like to fill up that 1 week as further step forward toward the academy. I think that will be amazing. And I mentioned to you in the before, the validation of the mindset curriculum is everywhere. I just came back from Cuba. Cuban entrepreneurs. I'm working with Africa, and underlying every program, every project I do now is mindset and your thoughts. We're talking to African farmers about their mindset, that you literally reap more of a crop that you sow if your mindset is different. I mean, just think about that. We talk about reap what you sow, very metaphorical, but for the farmers, it is literal.
I totally agree with you. And one more time, since we brought that up, and people are saying, well, I need a website, I need contact for that program that you're having. Give me the contact information, website, your number again, one more time.
Yeah, please. If you're interested in coming, I would love you to come for the week. The ideal for me would be come for the week and sponsor a person. Like that would be my dream. If I had 10 people who say, I'm going to pay for me and one other person, you get to experience it. We get to know each other, and you help someone else who goes through the week with you. Unbelievable. My number is 914-844-6090. Flory, Flory, at a-wakened, WAKENED -events.com.
All right, all right. That's called Reach One, Teach One, that program. Reach One, Teach One. So we have covered so much information in a very short period of time. Her weekend course, we try to get within a 35-minute presentation. I hope you logged in. You looked up her website. You're dialing her number right now. And hopefully we've changed the mindset of at least one person here. If you like what you've heard on today's show, go to RMK Productions and Network on our YouTube page. And again, if you're part of that, subscribe and follow. You can make comments because I know it's Flo would like to hear the impact of this interview. If you'd like to be a guest on this show, go to rmkproductions.org or email us at info@rmkproductions.org. Flo, I appreciate you 1,001 times. Hashtag find 1,000 reasons to be kind to someone. I appreciate my listeners. I appreciate the people that have helped out. And thank you over the years. And I appreciate my grandparents for giving me the mindset that I have right now to stay out of the sea and celebrate my strengths in my vortex and flows vortex. I can't wait to be there in person with you to see what you go through. I've heard nothing but positive things about my friends that have already experienced the flow experience. You are the missing piece.
What I want people to know is you can't just become a better business person without becoming a better parent, manager, coach, friend. So these skills help you enhance your life at every level. We're starting to offer them for parents. Not that they're not for parents already, but literally have all parents in the room, right? Couples and with their kids. And so it really is impossible for these pieces to be in a vacuum. It will just make you happier overall to get these skills and to get these tools very quickly. And, go out there with the concept of the rose-colored glasses and the boomerang. And the best way to empower others is to be empowered.
All right. And we are going to light the end of the rainbow with this pot of gold. My grandfather always said, when you get to a place that you can help someone else out, he said it's your duty to do so. He said, reach one, teach one. And with that said, we'll fade to black and we're out. Thank you, Flo.
Thank you.